The massive meta shift for 14.6 has come for the ADC role as Smolder's been torched by his nerfs, while many crit-centric ADCs are now incredibly strong. In today's video, we'll be providing you guys with an updated tier list for every single role. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with the constantly evolving meta, and so you don't miss out on next week's changes. Also, we're excited to announce we've done a massive update, adding all brand new courses for Season 14 on our website, SkillCapped.com. And if that's not enough, we upload 10 new Smurf commentaries every week where a challenger teaches you how to play every champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. The best part? You can try all this out completely risk-free. If you don't rank up while actively using SkillCapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below to get the rank you've always wanted in Season 14. Why does it always seem like after Rek'Sai ends up receiving an overhaul that she becomes a problematic top laner? In 14.6, a lot of players and even pros have been pulling Rek'Sai out in the top lane and seeing incredible results. Back in patch 14.4, Riot issued a change to where Rek'Sai's passive max health heal ratio was increased from 2 scaling to 10% max health to 12 scaling to 20% max health. This was a massive change and has brought a lot more viability to full tank Rek'Sai builds. You're super hard to kill due to all the tankiness from items and then the healing from passive. The setup that has become most popular on top lane Rek'Sai revolves around a Sunfire Aegis rush into Spirit Visage 2nd and Steric's Gauge 3rd. If you want a little more damage, you can grab Stride Breaker in the second item slot instead of Spirit Visage. Since Spirit Visage increases healing effects by 25% though, if the enemy comps has at least 2 magic damage threats, you definitely want to be grabbing the item second in those games. For the rune page, you'll be taking Grasp with Demolish, Second Wind, and Overgrowth, while Tenacity and Coup de Grace are for secondaries. Play rate of top lane Rek'Sai is still quite low, so if you're looking for something new to try before everyone catches on, definitely give it a go. Overall, top lane Rek'Sai is extremely powerful right now and likely to be nerfed in 14.7, so abuse her while you can as she's moving up into the top lane OP tier. So other than Rek'Sai making a push into meta for top lane, the tier list looks pretty similar to where we had it for pre-patch. There's no reason to remove Urgot from the OP tier as he continues to dominate the meta right now. Tanks are definitely the most slept on class of champions for top lane, as Mundo, Tahm Kench, and Zac are all performing extremely well due to the recent buffs to Sunfire Aegis and Heartsteel. Our challenger top laner Strumpist has a brand new full game commentary for Mundo on our website that can help you out if you're looking to take advantage of his strength in meta. Definitely stay away from top lane Smolder this patch, as his nerfs have significantly reduced his solo queue viability and he's being moved into the C tier. The base attack speed buff that Tryndamere received in combination with Quick Blades being buffed has brought some life back to Tryndamere, so we will be shifting him up into the A tier for mid patch. As for the other top laners that were changed in 14.6 like Shen, Cho'Gath, Volibear, Gragas, and Sion, their changes have landed as we predicted when making the pre-patch tier list, so they won't see any further movement for mid patch. The big change coming out of the jungle for 14.6 was Diana being heavily buffed, and she's gone from one of the worst junglers in the game to a very good solo queue option. It's of course going to be the Nashor's Rush to really take full advantage of the attack speed buffs. Lichbane is the second item leading to the best results right now, even though Storm Surge is what most players are running. Nashor's with Lichbane is just such a nasty 2-item spike, as it allows for Diana to not only burst really hard, but also thrive in more extended fights. So overall, Diana is definitely worth the add back to your champion pool for 14.6, as we have her placed in the jungle A tier. A lot of the changes to jungle for this patch were more placebo than anything, as the nerfs to strong champs didn't really accomplish much. Volibear continues to thrive despite his nerfs and will be locking down that only OP tier spot. We moved Briar from OP into S tier for the pre-patch tier list, and we like that decision with how the analytics are shaping out. Nerfs did not do enough to bring Briar's solo queue strength down significantly, but there is now a gap between her and Volley, hence her S tier placement. As more players have gravitated to the Eclipse build on Briar, it's also a big reason to why she's remained a pretty high win rate champ, as her underperforming lethality builds were holding her back in recent patches. If you guys were wondering why Graves' win rate had absolutely plummeted at the start of the patch, it was due to a bug with Ghostblade. Riot has now fixed that bug, so we won't be moving Graves down the tier list even though his win rate may suggest that he should be lower down. Kayn is one champ who will be pushed further down the tier list though, as Blue Kayn has been plastered by the nerfs. It actually looks like red is the way to go now, as Profane Hydra Rush Kayn is pretty dead due to the 14.6 nerfs. The fact you can't use the Hydra active during Kayn Q just makes him feel way more clunky and reduces the instant burst strength of the champ. It's always more difficult to rate Kayn on the tier list when one of his forms is much weaker than the other, so we're placing him in B tier. However, we do think that Blue Kayn is C tier right now, while Red Kayn is A tier, so we'll meet in the middle and place him in B. Moving on to the mid lane now, we noted in our pre-patch tier list that we expected for AP Galio to become much weaker for 14.6, and that's exactly what's played out. The champion just lost so much damage to his full burst combo and is really struggling to find any sort of success. So far, the sample size is not very high for this, but W max first on on Galio is outperforming Q max. We'll have to see if this goes anywhere in the coming patches, but W max tank Galio could be the direction the champion shifts moving forward. Kaenic Rooker and Rush is actually performing quite well in the limited sample size so far, so it does look like the champion has some viability if picked in the correct spots. If you want to try out Galio for this patch, then W max with Kaenic Rooker is something to experiment with. Of course, this does mean that Galio is a very situational pick though, as you're only going to want to lock him in if the enemy comp plays magic damage mid and jungle. Overall, due to the AP builds becoming much weaker, it's significantly reduced the blind pick ability of Galio, and he's being moved down into the B tier for mid patch. Karma and Galio were the only mid lane champs changed for 14.6, so we have minimal movement on the tier list. Ahri is a stranglehold of the OP tier right now, as there's really no one that comes close to matching her current power level. As we just mentioned, Galio has been moved further down the tier list due to his offensive builds becoming much weaker now. The jungle nerfs had minimal impact on the strength of the champions, but mid lane was the complete opposite. Karma nerfs have hit her extremely hard, and she has gone from being an OP pick in 14.5 to now a very average B tier champ in 14.6. Karma had a good run there for a few patches, but there are definitely better mages to choose from now, like Veigar, Ahri, and Aurelion Sol. Despite the buffs to Infinity Edge for this patch, Yone and Yasuo have seen a very minimal increase in strength, so they will not be moving up the tier list. If you were playing Smolder mid lane last patch, it's definitely a wise decision to drop him in 14.6, as the champ has seen over a 5% drop to his overall win rate, and is now the lowest win rate mid laner who has a play rate above 1%. We've got lots to talk about for the ADC role this patch, and one champion who's moving up the tier list is Zeri. Zeri players are very split right now between running Infinity Edge and Quick Blades. However, since both items were buffed this patch, the general strength of the champ has shot up nicely. ADCs that can abuse Static Shiv are seeing a lot of added strength right now. With Zeri, you build Shiv into Hurricane as your 2-item core, and compared to many other ADC builds, this mid-game spike is quite cheap. 2,700 gold for Shiv and 2,800 gold for Hurricane, which in total is 5,500 gold. Other than Kog'Maw, on-hit ADCs are struggling a lot more in 14.6 as they build Blade of the Ruined King with Rage Blade, and this core is 6,200 gold, which is 700 gold more expensive. 700 gold is a huge difference there, and it's a really nice benefit to picking Zeri right now. We're also seeing a lot more enchanters in meta for the support role, with Janna being a top tier pick, while Lulu and Melio have seen pretty nice win rate spikes this patch. This helps Zeri out a ton, as she's always had more success for solo queue when paired with enchanters as opposed to melee engaged supports. With all these factors in mind, Zeri is back to being one of the best solo queue ADCs and will be moved up from A into S tier for mid patch. Who knows how long this will last, but Aphelios is finally back to being a worthwhile pickup for solo queue again. The champ is hovering around that 50% win rate mark for this patch, and whenever that happens, it usually ends up with him being pick or ban for pro play. If this trend continues, definitely expect for some Aphelios nerfs in the coming patches, so if you enjoy playing the champ, now is the time to pick him up. If you guys watched our 14.6 edition of the new OP builds, you would already know that the Static Shiv Rush is what brought a lot of life back to Aphelios. Infinity Edge being buffed this patch has been a huge factor as well. You rush the Static Shiv and then go into Infinity Edge second for a rather cheap but lethal 2-item spike. Remember, Shiv only costs 2,700 gold now, so by rushing it, you're able to complete that Infinity Edge a little bit faster. As for Aphelios' tier list placement, we will be moving him up into the ADC A tier for 14.6. So there's a lot of moving parts on the ADC tier list this patch, as the Smolder changes have ended up hitting extremely hard. The nerfs have shaved off about 4% from his overall win rate, which is definitely more than what we initially expected. Riot probably didn't intend for the nerfs to hit this hard either, but nevertheless, Smolder is no longer worth playing or banning in 14.6, as he's being moved into the C tier. Crit ADCs are back in a big way for 14.6, as Jinx has taken a massive step forward and is now one of the best champs you can play for solo queue. We'll be moving Jinx up into the OP tier, joining Kog'Maw. If you guys are looking to pick up Jinx, Hector has a brand new commentary for her on our website, and we upload 10 new commentaries every single week. Xayah, being an ADC who likes to build both Quick Blades and Lord Doms in a lot of her games, has been loving the 14.6 buffs. For the longest time, Xayah had been underperforming in solo queue and has been B tier or below throughout all of Season 14, but with the positive changes in 14.6, she's moving up into A tier. Twitch and Kog are both looking really nice this patch as well. With the support meta shifting away from Maokai and more towards Janna and Lulu, it's really great for these ADCs like Twitch, Kog, and Jinx. Any champ that rushes Ghostblade has seen a dip in win rate to start the patch due to the item being bugged, so even though Miss Fortune's win rate will be lower throughout the patch, she's not any weaker than she was in 14.5, as the bug has now been fixed, so we won't be moving her down the tier list. A support who has been excelling a lot more due to how the ADC meta has evolved for this patch and seeing about a 2% spike to her overall win rate is Lulu. Lulu is absolutely thriving when paired with any of the top ADCs like Kog'Maw, Jinx, Twitch, or Zeri. We also saw more nerfs to Solstice Slay for this patch, so it's indirectly weakened melee supports and given more strength to enchanters. So for the first time all season long, we're finally seeing a meaningful shift in the support meta, with Lulu making her way up into the S tier. So here's how we have the support tier list constructed for 14.6. Zyra and Janna will remain in the OP tier as they continue to be two of the more reliable solo queue performers right now. There's going to be another enchanter moving up into the S tier for mid-patch, and that champ is Melio. Throughout the first 5 patches of the season, it was Maokai domination, and although Maokai is actually still a pretty good pickup, there's way more variety now, as melee supports are not miles ahead of everyone else. I'm pretty sure Janna was the only enchanter that we had rated in the S tier or above for the first few patches of the season, but now we've got Lulu, Melio, and Soraka, who have all climbed back into really good solo queue spots. So now instead of Maokai being the unanimous OP support that you just pick or ban in every single game, having an enchanter and a melee support in your champion pool is really good value now. If your ADC wants to play a hyperscaler like Kog'Maw or Jinx, then being able to play Janna or Melio is great. In games where your ADC still wants to play a more aggressive early game ADC like Draven or Lucian, then picking Maokai or Blitz can still work amazing too. If you truly want to improve and rank up fast, head on over to SkillCapped.com. We just finished a massive update adding all brand new courses for Season 14. We even upload 10 new Smurf commentaries each week where a challenger teaches you how to play every champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. And remember, you can try all this out risk-free. If you don't rank up while actively using SkillCapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below to get the rank you've always wanted this season. So that's going to be all for our 14.6 mid-patch tier list update. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in solo queue, and we'll see you back soon.